Time for the Burning River Sportscast. Trick or treat, no one could grab Nick Chubb's feet. It was a Halloween edition of Monday Night Football with Troy and Joe in the booth, Peyton and Eli on the cast, and Joe Burrow buried in the dirt. And yes, Skyline Chili will still give you diarrhea. The defense was so frightening, our buddy Joey B was seeing ghosts. The offense, efficient and delightful, like a pillowcase full of sweets. And it all led to a huge Browns victory, and we break it all down for you next on the Burning River Sportscast.
Hell yes.
F them.
F them all.
This is the most sack talk we've had all year.
That's it for the AFC North. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, now it's your turn. How do you like it? You can't talk either.
That's it for the...
Mr. Jams.
Yes, sir.
How does it feel?
It feels bad.
You like that? You want some of that? You like that?
You're really making me feel
You
bad,
like
man.
that?
Stop it.
Welcome to the Burning River Sportscast presented by Tapin Media. I'm Kenny Thunder alongside the first man to summit Mount St. Helens wearing only a shower cap. Red hot Ronnie Jams. Ronnie, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego, and where can our audience find all the content coming from the fine folks at Tapin Media?
You can find our podcast wherever you get your podcast, Kenny. Do you want to know where that is?
I do want to know.
All right, that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, Castro, and more.
Very nice. So wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay. When's the documentary come out?
For my trip up Mount St. Helens in a shower cap?
Yeah.
You know, it's still in the works. We can't agree on a number.
Yeah, fair.
It was impressive, though. I'm an impressive guy.
I guess so.
Didn't even lose any appendages, allegedly.
Allegedly. I find that when you're summiting any mount, that's the most important thing.
If you come back with all appendages,
You come back with all appendages.
you did well.
Yeah.
So how was your weekend?
My weekend was great, actually. I didn't have to watch the Browns lose.
No.
So I had a stress-free Sunday.
Fair.
Just got to enjoy the games.
Steelers lost again.
Putzed around the house a little bit. But yeah, just not having the stress of like a Sunday ruined by the anxiety of a Browns game was liberating in a way.
Even if we would have won like a close one, like just a low-key Sunday.
Just to not have to like sweat it out.
Yeah.
It felt good.
It was good.
What about you?
It was good. We were able to use that Sunday to catch up on some things, getting ready for the baby still. So, I mean, that's kind of where we're at. We only, like, this weekend was just Halloween stuff, normal Halloween stuff, trick-or-treating at our house on Saturday, trick-or-treating at Emily's parents on Sunday.
What were you for Halloween?
We actually didn't end up coming up with some fancy costume. We really wasted the baby bump and the and my long hair because we've just been so busy getting ready. So I just kind of, it was last minute. I just went on. I have a Michael Myers jumpsuit that I threw on, and then I grabbed a Jason mask, and I was either Jason Myers or Michael Voorhees, however you want to slice it.
That's
you get it.
Supremely disappointing, given that your wife is.
She did well though. In our box of delightful past costumes that we have, she was able to pull out the gumball machine, and she was a gumball machine. So it was. There
was some effort there.
Yeah, it was pretty solid.
A little bit.
Yeah. I mean, we were both disappointed in ourselves, but we just got too wrapped up in things and never got around to coming up with a costume.
I'm definitely disappointed in you.
I'm disappointed in myself, so thank you.
Do we have a name for the baby yet? Isn't it going to be here like any day?
The baby is going to be here any day, but there is no name that you need to know.
Why can't I know?
Nobody can know.
What's that mean?
I mean, you might be able to know off air some of the ideas I have, but you can't.
Jeez,
nobody can know.
You never know a guy, you know? You never know a guy.
Isn't it you think you know a guy?
Look, I don't know this guy.
All right, so, yeah, Halloween, man. It was dope. Should we just get into the Halloween matchup with the Bengals here?
I guess so, because the actual Halloween was the dopest.
Yeah. Best Halloween I've had in a while. It wasn't like last year when the Browns lost on Halloween. So
no, this was much better.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's break it down.
All right. This is the Week 8 recap. Alrighty then.
So Monday Night Football, big game, big audience. Did you take this in on the Manning cast or with Troy and Joe?
I'm actually probably one of the few people that I don't particularly enjoy the Manning cast because I just want to listen to the game sometimes, and they just talk the entire time.
They do talk the entire time. I actually really enjoy the Manning cast normally. I watched the first half on the Manning cast, and I couldn't stand it. I had to turn.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would agree with you. Like, if it's not our team, it's fine. But
generally,
when it's our team and I'm trying to really zone in on what's going on and some of the things that are happening in the game, I can't stand that they're just talking about nothing the entire time. And I'm like, I don't want to hear that. I want to hear the game.
And they had Boomer on first, big Cincinnati homer. So
such a boomer.
I was like, and I was annoyed with that to begin with. But the worst thing, I don't know if you saw any clips of it or anything, but Eli came fully garbed out for Halloween, wearing his what was when he did the Penn State videos, when he was what was his name? Shoot. Where he did the tryout.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
But like but it was just like the face mask.
Yeah.
And it just he looked like Hannibal Lecter, and you couldn't hear anything he was saying. Gosh, what was his name in the thing they just did? Just
insert it later.
Insert now.
The name's Powers, Chad Powers, the next great Penn State quarterback.
Was it Chad Powers? Was it Chad Powers?
I think it was Chad Powers.
So anyways.
Great, we didn't even have to insert here.
He's got that on. And that also annoyed me from the start because I couldn't even understand anything he was saying because he was, Peyton.
Because his mouth can't move when he's wearing that thing?
Yeah, he was under 3 inches of latex mask.
It was a funny bit that they did there at Penn State, but am I the only one that thinks he just looked like himself? Like, he didn't look any different.
They took his nose off and it was still just Eli's nose.
Yeah, I was like, how does... Like, this has to be set up. I mean, obviously it was set up, but it had to be like set up with the players as well. Because how do you not know that's Eli Manning? Like, if you watched football ever in your entire life, I'd be like, that's Eli Manning running around on our field right now.
Think fast, run fast.
5'4".
It was a good bit. And then Peyton came without a face mask, wearing a referee's getup. And it was funny just to start the game because he was talking about the head ref from the Monday Night Football game and that he was 0-7 against that guy. So he was like, I hate that guy.
That guy's awful.
He's like, I don't know why I couldn't win a game with that guy as referee. Like, doesn't make any sense.
I won a lot of games in my career, and Eli wasn't one of them.
And Eli was 4-3 with him. So, but yes, I did switch the Manning cast off at halftime because I couldn't take it anymore.
Fair. So enough about the Manning cast. We would call a better game than those guys.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's go ahead and we'll start on the Bengals side. Let's start with the offense, like we always do. Joey B.
Yeah, this week he was my player to watch in the game. I thought this game would hinge on.
I couldn't remember who your player to watch was. Joey B. Huh? You went that obvious
on whether he played well or whether he didn't, and he didn't play all that well.
No, I mean, he was 25 of 35, 232 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he had 2 turnovers, an interception, and a fumble lost. And here's the deal. Joe Burrow has won a lot of games, won a lot of playoff games. He's been to the Pro Bowl. He's been to the Super Bowl. He was the NFL Comeback Player of the Year last year, but he has not beaten the Cleveland Browns. 0-4 all time, and still winless, obviously.
I think that might have been the biggest factor in the game. I think that at some point it was in his head.
Well, and I think that for whatever reason, I don't know what the reason is, but even the Browns players, they just, when they play the Bengals, they get up for the Battle of Ohio.
Oh, yeah. Greg Newsome was chirping about how he's like, I don't know why everyone's picking the Bengals. Like, they haven't beat us ever, basically, in this iteration of the Browns. So,
yeah. Like, ever since Joe Burrow's been on their team.
Like, he basically said, like, yeah, we lose to everybody else but Cincinnati, so I still don't understand, like, why y'all are picking Cincinnati.
Touche.
And everybody did pick Cincinnati, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Run down the list. Do you have the list?
Well, just the entire ESPN panel for Monday night and all of the Caesars Sportsbook guys all picked Cincinnati.
And me and you.
And you and I, yeah. That's true.
Yeah, we picked them. We picked the Browns to lose.
Yeah. But
fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, you can't fool me again.
But I'm never more glad to be wrong.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
than when the Browns win.
In the middle of the game, I texted you. And I said, if this is what it takes for the Browns to win every week, is for both of us to pick against
them to lose every week,
I'm in. I'll be wrong all the time. I don't care. Worst Browns pundit ever.
Yeah. Anyway, back to Joey B. I think outside of just the head thing being in his head, I think we talked about the ways to beat him. Right, you have to get to him and make him uncomfortable, create pressure, and try to turn him over. And they turned him over early. When Myles had the tip ball to AJ Green.
Which I was saving this for later, but I'll just talk about it now. Did you see on the interception? AJ Green is running down the sideline and Joe Burrow comes over to try and knock him out of bounds. And as soon as he saw that Myles Garret was leading the way as the lead blocker, he literally ran away.
He wanted no
He was like, I'm out of here. And Myles Garret was nice enough just to give him the little shove and knock him down. And
yeah, he wanted no part of that. And that was smart.
It was, if you watch the replay though and put it in slow motion, he literally looks into Myles Garrett's eyes and then runs away. So it was good to see. But outside of Joe, you have any more on Joe Burrow?
We'll cover the rest when we cover Browns defense, I think.
Yeah. So Joe Mixon, 8 carries, 27 yards, 7 receptions, 32 yards. Pretty much a non-factor. We talked about Joe Mixon. Everybody likes to talk this guy up every year, and he's just kind of he's honestly I would put him on the same level as like Dearness Johnson.
Well, and even the guys during the game were talking about like they think they ran the ball like 6 times against the Falcons. Like they don't spotlight him, they don't showcase him, and they really don't need to because they do so much run and gun.
Well, yeah. Their identity, like we said, we said before last week's show, they're finally starting to find their identity and love it or hate it. Their identity is we throw the ball all over the yard and we hope our defense can just hold them enough so that we can score more points than they do.
It is fascinating the respect he gets though, because A, he's not even a good guy.
No.
and
no.
B, he's just not that prolific of a player. I mean, he's had some decent statistical seasons over the last couple of years, but like he's not.
I mean, does the dude even have 1,000-yard rush season?
I think he has a couple. I think he has a couple.
If he does, I'm sure it's just over. Like it's
like
not
1,200-yard seasons, but he just, man, I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't really get the love for Joe Mixon either. I think he's, like I said, he's a serviceable like RB2. Like he's Dearness Johnson.
I think he's an average NFL starter.
Yeah. To the receivers for the Bengals, Tyler Boyd, they all pretty much had the same game, so I'll run down all 3 of them. Tyler Boyd, 3 receptions, 38 yards and a touchdown. T. Higgins, 3 receptions, 49 yards and a touchdown, and Hayden Hurst, 4 receptions for 42 yards. But we'll go back to T. Higgins because his touchdown just absolutely mossed Greedy Williams.
Yeah.
Like Greedy had really good coverage on that. He was right on him.
You can't be in a better position.
Right where he needed to be. But what do they always say?
Well, a perfect pass and a perfect catch beat perfect defense every time.
Every time. And that's exactly what happened. And actually, I would even say it was more so on the perfect catch side. I think it was a good throw, not a great throw, because it was a little short. But I mean, it was.
But if the throw is good too, I mean, I think it just goes to say like,
yeah, you can have the best coverage, and sometimes you just can't stop it. And I mean, that's what T. Higgins is known for since he's been in the NFL. I mean, he high points the ball, he brings it in, he's got strong hands.
He's champion at 50-50 balls. Yeah, and that was, I mean, Greedy was in good spot. I
kind of feel bad for Greedy because all the trade talk this week. He hasn't played particularly well this year,
and he's been injured a lot.
He's been injured a lot. He finally had I could have a moment here.
Yeah, on Monday Night Football, on Halloween. Absolutely, he'll have his moment next week during the "You Got Mossed" segment.
Yeah, exactly. Like it went the complete opposite way of what he wanted it to go. But.
Yeah, that feels bad. I also heard, I guess, just on the radio, it sounded like he was fighting a flu or something too. So.
Yeah, he was sick all week. He didn't practice until like Friday.
Yeah.
So I mean, it is what it is. I'm I'm kind of glad we didn't trade him. I don't know that at this point in his career, we would have got a lot of value back for him, which we'll get into the trades around the league a little bit later. But, I think since you're not going to get a lot of value, you just see what you have.
I agree. I mean, I can't remember if we talked about it last week on the pod or not, but just what's his value? I don't know. I wouldn't trade for the guy.
Right. Well, and with him already being on the Browns, like I said, you just continue to, for lack of a better term, kick the can down the road and see, maybe he gets healthy. And
I mean, that's the biggest thing is maybe he gets healthy throughout this year and next year and comes back strong next year. I hope so. Don't know.
Bengals defense, they did get 2 sacks, and they also forced 2 turnovers. Jacoby got completely sandwiched between like 7 guys and fumbled the ball. Handed it over to him.
That was ugly, and I think that keep me honest, but I think that came like in the 2-minute drill or close to the 2-minute drill.
It was. It ruined the 2-minute drill at the end of the first half. And I will say, Jacoby, if you watch the replay, he was trying as hard as he could to tuck the ball. There was just too many dudes there.
Yeah, well, I think he waited too long to try to tuck the ball.
Yeah, that fair.
Was the issue. But he did. He got absolutely clobbered there. And initially they had marked that as an interception for Jacoby.
Yeah.
And then rescored that after halftime coming back. But I had in my notes when it happened because I didn't know what happened. I just wrote fumbleception.
It was something. It was a turnover.
It was a turnover.
No matter what the ruling was, the Bengals came up with the ball.
Yeah.
So the other turnover that they forced
I would use that word lightly, forced, that loosely here.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah. I was going to say it was pretty much handed to him. It was a receiver that was trying a reverse pass for who knows why. Like the second play of a drive, we decided to go reverse pass, and he got smashed while he was letting go of the ball and just straight to the DB.
Kevin Stefanski,
linebacker, I think.
Kevin Stefanski is an excellent play caller. I can't even believe you would question that.
Well, it's early in the game. The run game's working so far, so clearly, what are you going to do? Reverse pass.
Reverse pass.
Yeah, absolutely.
And don't block it well.
Yeah. Like I said, they couldn't, the defense, they had a couple sacks and whatever, but they couldn't stop the run. They're like every other defense against the Browns. You just can't stop the run.
No, you can't. And we'll talk about our offense here in a moment, but when you're leveraging Kareem and Nick Chubb in the right way, and hell, even Dearness Johnson got in on the party last night. So it's tough. That offensive line is maulers, and it doesn't matter who's in front of them. Like, they're going to create enough room for any one of those guys.
Yeah, for sure. And so I mean that's pretty much it for the Bengals. As the score would show, 32-13. They didn't really have a lot of notable things happen for them in this game.
Just like we all drew it up.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and head over to the Cleveland side. We'll start with the coaching because there were still some things in this game that I took issue with. I know we won 32-13. I know we dominated this game. But Mike Prefer, what?
Let's just save him for later. I can't.
Are you going to have a rant on him?
He's just trash.
He is trash. There's another blocked kick in this one. And we won't get into it too much, but it seems like every single week there's a special teams blunder.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of sick of it. I don't know how that guy still has a job. Joe Woods finally showed some life. Joe Woods is here. The defense was all over the place. They were disruptors. They're making big plays, and probably the first time all season we've gotten a glimpse of the defense that was supposed to be.
Yeah, the defense started to show some life last week. We said we said at the time that was probably their best defensive effort on the season.
Yeah, I mean they really shut down Lamar Jackson for the most part and wasted that game on.
And this week you have an offense come into your building that everyone expected to be able to throw all over you.
Even with being down Jamar Chase.
They were like, it's no issue.
They still have a few other guys that could potentially be number one receivers elsewhere.
100%. So no, this was a good day for Joe Woods' defense. Joe Woods, buys himself another week or two here of goodwill, especially with the bye, so he won't get fired over the bye probably.
But I just had my best 2 games.
Yeah, so
but please don't.
I think everybody knows how we feel about Joe Woods at this point. But hey, if the defense can play like that,
if they play like that the rest of the year, I say we promote Joe Woods to head coach. I'm going the opposite way. All right, that's. I don't know if I actually believe that, but
I'm dying.
But I mean, if the defense can play that way the rest of the season, I think it's going to be a really fun rest of the season.
Here's the thing: if the defense could play like that under Joe Woods, imagine what they could do under a real defensive coordinator.
Literally nobody.
Like you have all that talent there, and for the first time all year, they all played together.
The worst part about that is they didn't even have their full complement of
true.
On the
Yeah,
defense.
you're missing your best corner.
I'm almost like, are they gonna play that well when the big name players come back? When you get Denzel back, when you get some of these guys back, are you gonna keep playing that well, or are these guys that are really playing hard for each other right now because they don't have the big guys to rely on? Are they just gonna fall back into their Denzel Ward's gonna take care of it?
And I think that's really important to keep in mind over the rest of the season, because Monday night was one thing. Your back was against the wall. Your season was on the line, and those guys had to bring it.
We tried to say the week before it was a must-win game, but this was like the most
must-win game of the season. So, how much of that was just those guys elevating their game because the situation called for it versus, are they well coached? I don't know. Time will tell.
I don't know. And then we'll move on to Kevin Stefanski here. So Stefanik. I'm still going to keep him at Stefanik because like I said, we dominated the game. But let's just start with the direct snap to Nick Chubb. I know we scored a touchdown on that.
Well, can we start with the whole first quarter? Because you had 2 drives, I think, in the first quarter, and they ended in interception and
for a receiver.
The Amari Cooper interception on the reverse pass for God knows why, and the blocked field goal.
I don't know. It seemed like a good idea at the time.
And Nick Chubb had 2 carries in the first quarter. There was, I think, 11 minutes left in the second quarter when Nick Chubb got his 3rd carry.
Yeah. I mean, it's insane.
It's criminal.
I don't understand it. And even when, that's what I was getting into, even when Nick Chubb got the ball. So early on, the direct snap to Chubb that scored the first touchdown, you scored a touchdown, but we're at the 2-yard line. Why are we even risking direct snaps and trick plays on the 2-yard line? We have Nick Chubb, just take the handoff, just take the snap with Jacoby and hand it to Nick Chubb.
The only reason
90% of the time you're going to score.
The only reason I'm willing to let that one go is because
we scored.
Well, because it was Nick Chubb.
That's fair.
If they had direct snapped it to Njoku, he didn't play.
I just don't understand the reasoning. Just play football.
It's not hard. I think you saw after that first quarter debacle, whatever the hell that was, and they went back to what works, the running game.
Yeah.
You ran for
That's when we started dominating.
170 yards, and they couldn't stop you.
Yeah. And like we said, the reverse pass with Amari Cooper, just why?
Why?
It's the second, it was the second series, correct?
Yeah.
So it was the second series. Nick Chubb has 2 carries to that point, and it's second down, or was it first down? Was it first or second down?
It was early in the count.
We weren't behind schedule, anything like that, and we decided we're going to go reverse pass with Amari Cooper, try and catch him sleeping.
Amari Cooper should never be throwing the ball when Nick Chubb's only touched it twice.
Right?
If Nick Chubb's run the ball 19 times or 25 times and it's the end of the game and you need to come up with some magic, okay, we got to throw caution to the wind sometimes, but there's no excuse for Amari Cooper to be throwing the ball.
Yeah.
When you could just be running it.
It's just mind-boggling. Why do we take these chances when we absolutely do not have to?
3 things can happen when the ball goes in the air.
It can get intercepted, it can get caught,
or it can get dropped. So 2 of those are bad.
Yeah. Feels bad. But I will say this for Kevin Stefanik. He finally gave Nick Chubb 20-plus carries. He got 23 on the night. And guess what? The Browns win. We are now 3-0 when he gets 20-plus carries and 0-5 when he doesn't.
But the thing is, why is that even hard? That's what we said all week long to do. Give Nick Chubb 20 carries, control the clock, keep the ball out of Joe Burrow's hands, and play good defense.
It took him.
That was it.
Damn near the entire game to get him his 20 carries, too.
I'm baffled watching this guy call plays, and I'm baffled.
He's so good at it.
I'm baffled listening to the defenders of Kevin Stefanski say, well, it's the one thing he does good. Okay, well, if you're a head coach and you do one thing good, that's a problem.
I will say that our offense, if you just look at numbers, has been efficient this year, but what those numbers don't take into account is down and distance and stuff. And just boneheaded play, like the reverse pass. Like, it doesn't, like, yeah, that got intercepted, and the rest of the game we were uber efficient, but that still doesn't take that into account to say, what are we doing here?
I don't know.
So they did. The team as a whole showed a lot of improvement. The coaching staff even showed some improvement, but there's still, I mean, like I said, there's still some questionable things going on.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was good. It's good to get a win, right? Like, I don't want to come out here and just slam the coaching staff.
I do,
but man, it's not like these things that we're talking about were lapses in judgment one time or 1 week. This is the reason they're 3-5. You have a team that's talent far exceeds their record, and that's a problem.
Oh yeah, we might be the best 3-5 team that ever played,
ever lived.
Like, I don't know.
There's been a bunch of Dallas Cowboys teams that were supposed to be good that just never are.
Well, that's just because they're trash. And everybody picks them because they're the Dallas Cowboys, because that means something.
America's team.
All right, let's get into the offense here. Jacoby Brissett, dude was impressive and efficient in this one.
Every time I see this guy's name on paper, I just think barbecue. And it gets me excited.
Okay, all right. But we actually aren't going to talk about Jacoby right now. We'll get back to Jacoby
because he sucks.
No, because he played very well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll get back to him soon. Nick Chubb. 23 carries, 101 yards, 2 touchdowns. Just doing Nick Chubb things.
And he looked great again.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
hurtled the shit out of that guy.
I mean, he hit the triangle button so hard.
Oh, did you see the guy? The guy went to tackle him when he missed. He like smacked himself in the face because he was like, where did he go?
And that was is it Hilton?
Yeah.
He's one of their buddy defensive backs.
Well, he missed.
I just love that, like,
not even close.
You can stack 8-9 guys in the box. You can put him in front of him. You can put him on the ends, and it doesn't matter if he can't go through you. He'll just go over you now.
One thing that went pretty much unnoticed in that game that I want to point out is after the 2-point, I think it was the 2-point conversion. It might have been the touchdown right before that. But one of those two plays, when he got in, one of our offensive linemen, I don't know which one it was, but in a defensive lineman were getting into it, and our offensive lineman started to go after him. And before he even gave the ball to the ref, he grabbed his teammate and said, "We scored, man. It's good."
Yeah.
And he prevented a penalty that was sure to come after that. And stuff like that turns games. So it's because, it was the touchdown, because the very next play, because we didn't get that penalty, we were able to go for 2 and we got it. And we start out 8-0 instead of, you're having to kick the extra point and probably miss it because you're from like 55 yards. He's
just a joy to watch in every sense of the word.
He's just
running the ball, catching the ball, blocking. As a teammate, I love Chubb.
We love Chubb.
We love Chubb. We love Chubb. We love Chubb.
Oh, was I supposed to start? It's not going.
We love Chubb.
Yeah, we do love Chubb. He's just Chubb.
Okay.
So Kareem Hunt, though, his name's been thrown around all week for trade rumors and things like that. But he came in, he played hard. They gave him 11 carries. He got 42 yards, 4 receptions for 30 yards. It did look at points in the game, it looked like they were trying to showcase him a little bit more compared to the last few weeks.
Yeah, this was the most bizarre personnel utilization that I've seen in a minute, given all the trade talk.
Yeah.
If you had a serious offer on the table, you can't play him.
No.
I mean, if someone's willing to part with a draft pick, a third, fourth, fifth round draft pick, and he sprains an ankle,
it's over for you.
It's over for you. So it was bizarre that they went to him so early, so often.
Well, and watching the game, I couldn't decide. I was back and forth on it. I was like, is this like a last ditch effort to increase trade value, to like show like he can handle a full complement of carries from a team, or was it them showing everybody like, no, we don't plan to deal this guy? I couldn't decide. And
early on, to your point, like I thought this was a showcase for suitors, and I'm thinking,
here we go.
Here's this 2-5 football team that no one cares whether they win or lose on national television. All we're worried about is what draft pick we can get out of Kareem Hunt. But the more that the game went on, and then the way that the game progressed, and we won, obviously, I almost think now this might have been some infighting between Kevin Stefanski in the front office.
Just kind of showing him like, no, I don't want this guy to go.
Yeah, like you can put him on the trade block, but that's fine. Like if you're not telling me I can't play him, I'm going to play him, and I'm going to show you like what this offense is capable of with this guy in the lineup.
Which is fair. We've talked about it early on in the season. I was against trading Kareem. The last few weeks, I kind of came around to it. I was like, he's only signed through the end of the year.
That's the biggest thing.
If we don't get something for him now, we're not going to get anything for him in the offseason because we, more likely than not, we will not be able to pay for him.
And I almost wonder, too, now that the trade deadline's coming past and Kareem Hunt is still a Cleveland Brown, I almost wonder if his lack of utilization leading up to this week may have been related to that. Because, like, let's be honest, the Browns probably weren't shopping Kareem Hunt for just the last 4 days.
No.
Since the Schefter story broke.
No.
They've probably been...
Schefter's always breaking stories, but, I mean, it's been going on for weeks.
They've probably been talking to other teams, fielding offers, trying to get something for him. And maybe that's where Kevin Stefanski was told, like, hey, let's cool it on Kareem a little bit. I don't know. I mean, that's totally speculation, but
yeah, I'm not
just
sure.
trying to make sense of it all because
like you said,
it was bizarre.
whether they were trying to showcase him as like we don't plan to deal this guy or look what you're missing out on to try and increase the value, didn't really matter. Nothing came to fruition in the trade talks, so he's still a Cleveland Browned with a D. He's still a Cleveland Brown, and it's one of those things. Would I have liked to get a 4th round pick for him just so we had something for him? Yeah, but at the same time, I'm not mad that he's on our team. So
yeah, no, I mean, I would never be mad that Kareem Hunt's on the team. He's a good player. To your point, it's just the value that he could have had, and let's be honest, we're 3-5 now. And at the time yesterday, we were 2-5. So the playoffs are a far stretch. But so if you don't have a deep run this year with Kareem on your roster, you get nothing for him. Yeah,
the thing that kind of bugged me when it came to talking about Kareem Hunt trades was there were so many people in Cleveland that were like, "Oh, all you could get is a 4th rounder for him." There's some pretty good 4th rounders or later out there. I mean, name some later draft picks that the Browns have.
I mean, just
right
even
now.
On the roster right now, I think Martin Emerson was a 5th round draft pick. DPJ was a 6th round draft pick. These are guys that are contributors on this team.
Which, hot take here, I think Martin Emerson is on track to. I think MJ Emerson is on track to basically he's going to be opposite of Denzel Ward next year.
I am high on Martin Emerson. And then I know it's early. I know he's a rookie and he'll probably get tired and hit that wall at some point this year. But,
nothing against Newsome, but MJ Emerson has been phenomenal.
He's been more than I bargained for sure.
Yeah, he's always making plays. Amari Cooper, we'll get back to the offense. Amari Cooper, 5 receptions, 101 yards, and a touchdown. He actually had more than he had 131 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, don't short my guy Amari.
My bad. But yeah, so I mean, he had a monster game yesterday, and just an unbelievable snag on like the 40-yard pass from Jacoby. It was just nuts,
phenomenal.
Just complete fingertips all the way down on the ground, and pulled that thing in somehow.
Fingertips.
Great game. We actually debated making him the Burning River Sportscast Dog of the Week this week.
He also is the first player with 130 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown, and 1 interception thrown since 1966.
Nice. Who's the other one? The other two.
The other two...
Not important.
Some guy named Tony Martin Otis Taylor.
Nice.
I don't know either of those names.
Great company, Amari Cooper. Great company.
Although this says the last date was in 94, so I may have to check that stat. But he's one of 3 guys to do whatever.
And those other guys are household names. DPJ continues to play well. 4 receptions, 81 yards. I really like that he's come along the last this like middle part of the season here. I mean, you can count him for 4, 5, 6 receptions a game for about 80 yards, and it's been 60 to 80 yards, and it's been nice because especially with Njoku being out right now, we needed somebody to step up and get those receptions.
I think the thing with DPJ is it's
absolutely insane hurdle on that
insane
guy
hurdle
too.
Yeah, he is athletic. He's a tremendous athlete. I think when Deshaun Watson comes back, we'll get a better gauge on how good this guy actually is. But I think right now
we have somebody that can spread the ball around.
He's totally serviceable. Yeah.
David Bell had his second multi-reception day.
2 catches.
2 catches for 27 yards, baby.
Quincy Morgan.
listen.
Like Quincy Morgan had some success in Cleveland.
To your point about Deshaun Watson coming back, I think it's going to take a few games. There's going to be some rust, but when he's able to start spreading the ball around, I think David Bell is actually going to be one of the guys that really benefits from that. Because as teams start to game plan for us, not from us.
They get our game plans directly. That's what Kevin Stefanski's given our game plans directly to them.
But as they start to game plan for us and trying to take away these other receivers, Deshaun Watson has shown in the past he can get everybody involved. So
what could go wrong?
But I'm still saying to look out for him. Where the bye is next week, and we're coming back for the second half of the season after that, and I think. That David Bell is a name to watch and somebody that could put up some numbers.
The Venus flytrap.
Yeah, he is the Venus flytrap. The sooner you realize it.
I like David Bell. He's just not getting.
You don't like David Bell.
He's not getting spots.
That's fair. Offensive line,
But you know who's not getting even fewer spots?
Anthony Schwartz. Came as an anime character to this game, which...
That's probably where he should be.
An anime character?
He should be an anime character.
Fair. Offensive line in this game, 2 sacks given up, 172 yards that they plowed the way for. And they played better than the last few games. They had a couple rough ones in a row, but much better in this one. I will say Jacoby was still hurried 7 times on top of those sacks, though. So a little bit more than we would like.
Yeah.
But at least we were able to stay on schedule and those types of things.
Look, there's still some concern with Jed.
There was one play, the Kareem Hunt pitch that they pitched it out to Kareem Hunt, and Jed Wills had a linebacker that he was supposed to get, and basically it looked like it wasn't, but it looked like he was just chip blocking. He like barely touched him and then turned around and watched him tackle Kareem Hunt for a 2-yard gain. And I'm like, dude, it's literally a hat on a hat, and all he had to do was beat one guy, which he did, and then he ran right into the guy you were supposed to block.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what he is yet. We expect him to be really good because he was a first-round pick. I don't know if he's ever going to live up to that. Does that mean he's bad? No.
I can see this going if we're able to somehow find some draft picks somewhere eventually that we end up drafting another left tackle at some point and then put Jed Wills somewhere else.
And maybe Jed's place is not left tackle.
Well, that's what I mean. Like we end up moving him and just
and
we get another left tackle.
Well, and there was talk about Conklin at the trade deadline as well. He's been banged up. He came out for at least a couple of series during the Bengals game. So I don't know what the future will hold there. Maybe they try him like at the right tackle spot and move someone else to the left side.
Yeah.
But Jed Wills, I don't know.
Don't know. Moving over to the defense, Garrett.
You scared me. I thought we were like being invaded. You looked up surprised. I thought there was like an alien.
Nope. Myles Garret came to play in this one. 1.5 sacks, 1 tackle for loss. As you mentioned earlier, that first series for the Bengals, he tipped the pass that led to an interception. And the 1 sack that he had was absolutely dirty. Just a spin move that beat a double team and just straight dirtiest sack in the game.
Myles has the dirtiest sack in the game.
He did have the dirtiest sack in the game.
Look, I loved what I saw out of Myles. He was all over. There was energy.
That's what I was getting. Most energy I've seen from him all season.
Yeah,
hands down, not even close.
It was like I feel like I saw him on like loop penetration as well, like coming around, just different looks.
Yeah, and even when he didn't I didn't see any plays where he really took off yesterday, and even when he didn't get to the quarterback, he was always right there somewhere. Yeah,
he looked good. That's the Myles that's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
and if he can bring more of that to the table, like it can only help the Browns, and we need that. And I think that's the kind of, when you talk about lead by example, Myles can compile all the sack stats that he wants, but like, there was a big difference watching Myles last night than watching him in some of these other games this year where he's had a sack or two and you go, well, Myles did his thing. He got his sack.
Yeah, he had a couple sacks, but he kind of disappeared the rest of the game. Like it was.
But last night he had the dirtiest sack in the game.
Oh, the dirtiest sack. Sione Taki may have had his best game as a Cleveland Brown. I mean, it was That was phenomenal to watch. 13 tackles, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, and he was just everywhere.
Another one, just the energy.
Absolutely everywhere. And I don't think he missed a tackle that I saw all night.
And especially early on. I mean, he was one of the tone setters early on.
Yeah.
Him and the next guy.
Yeah, MJ Emerson, next dude. This dude, like we were just talking about a minute ago, he's legit. He had 9 tackles, 2 passes defensed. And I know pass defensed are weird because they only count those when you actually get a hand on them. But, I mean, he was draped all over guys all night. And
I think that's what I like about his coverage skills is he's so physical.
Yeah. More so than I like Denzel, obviously, and he plays well, but I think MJ Emerson might be the most physical corner we have.
Agreed. You know, Denzel's tremendous, but I think Denzel's a
He's been injured for a few weeks, and Kenny forgets his
name. He's a finesse guy, right? He's prototype corner.
Yeah.
Emerson is just a dog. Like he's just coming.
Oh, he's just mauling people off the line.
Combat.
Yeah, just
at any
hand
moment.
Fighting nonstop, and yeah, he was like I said, he just draped all over guys all night.
Love it.
Deion Jones, much better second outing than the first game.
Neon Deion showed up on the stat sheet.
Yeah, so he had a sack and a tackle for loss, but even besides, like, you know, he didn't have a huge statistical game, but he seemed like he was always in the vicinity, always kind of doing the right thing to force people in, to you know, get teammates to help out.
And hopefully that's a good sign for the rest of the year, right? We've talked about losing your dot a couple of times.
Lost a couple of them.
Like, so you need guys to step up in that interior.
Third dot's never good.
And maybe he can be that guy. Yep.
So that was good to see. Taven Bryan got in there on another half sack.
He wanted some of Myles' dirty sack.
Yeah.
He was like, give me half of your dirty sack, Myles.
He saw how dirty his first sack was, and he said, I want to be just as dirty as your sack.
I want half of Myles' dirty sack.
Can I get as dirty of a sack as you have? And then AJ Green.
This is the most sack talk we've had all year.
AJ Green, interception off the Garrett tipped pass early. And I already mentioned it. Just when he's running that thing back, Joe Burrow, just the biggest eyes when he sees Myles Garret and just runs for his life.
We have to give AJ Green his due because AJ Green we picked on a little earlier in the year when we were down some guys, and I was like, if AJ Green is starting in your secondary,
I think that still holds.
You're in a bad spot.
Yeah,
and he made a huge play. Early in the game, and you know,
again, helped set the tone.
Set the tone. Yeah. So you know, good on AJ.
And I know we mentioned some of them by name, but the secondary as a whole played pretty well most of the game.
I googled AJ right after that because I was like, AJ Green, like he's actually got decent size. He's like 6'2", 205. So I don't know. Maybe he's our diamond in the rough.
Yeah, but like I said, the secondary overall played pretty well. They had a really tough assignment this week with all the weapons that the Bengals have.
This was the best offensive team that we've played all year.
Yeah, and I mean this is now a few good weeks in a row that the secondary has played pretty darn well. And both of these last 2 weeks have been without Denzel Ward, and even half of the week before that, if I'm not mistaken. So
trade him.
I'm not saying the trade deadline's passed. Luckily, they can't even entertain any of your idiotic ideas. But I'm just saying, hopefully they keep this up and they don't fall back into, well, Denzel Ward's on that guy. So
well, and I think honestly, it's a really good point because I think what happens sometimes when you're down personnel is those moments tend to galvanize teams because you have to play for one another. You can't take a play off and say, or take an assignment off and say, well, that guy's got it.
And you realize, like, when we all play for each other, good things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I just hope, like I said, when Denzel comes back, they keep it up and they don't fall back into that, well, he's got, you know, he's our number one corner. He's got the number one guy, and nobody else has to worry about him.
Man to man, yeah.
Yeah, like
let him go.
But yeah, just keep playing well in the secondary there. Special teams, if Mike Prefer wasn't their coach, we would talk so much better about special teams. But Cade York, 1 for 2 field goals. The missed one was blocked.
And it was a long field goal. That was 52 or 53 yards. On the second kick that he got, though, I think he was like, I don't care if you all block for me or not. He launched that ball.
It was good from like 75.
Next to a satellite.
Yeah.
That's the highest kick I've seen on television. I was like,
and it was powerful.
That ball is going to
like coming off his foot. It was like a freaking rocket.
That ball's going to land in Lake Erie.
Yeah. So he was really proving a point on that one. He did make that one, and then 3 for 3 on his extra points. So I think that we just need to not I think we're letting we're a little too soft on the blocking, and we're letting the too much penetration come through and kind of get in the way of those. Because especially he's had a lot of long kick attempts. So you got to kick it low.
And that's the thing. I think it's one hand begets the other, right? Because I think we rely on his leg being so strong. We're like, hey, if we get it near the 40, Cade can make it.
But you got to give him some room to make the kick.
Schematically, that's a problem because we're consistently setting this guy up for long field goals that have to, by virtue of just the trajectory needed to make it, have to fly a little lower.
Is that part of the Kevin Stefanski, I'm only good at one thing?
Yes, 100% it is.
Like I didn't even think about the fact that we need to block better so that we can give him more time.
Yeah, or get that extra 5 yards,
Yeah. And then Bajorquist.
You love talking about the punter.
Well, I had to. So it's a pretty bad day for Bajorquist, and I know it's just a punter and a blowout win, but we're thorough here at the Burning River Sportscast. So I had to point it out that he had a god awful day. He averaged like 33 yards a punt.
Well, his last punt went for 10 yards.
Yeah, it's trash.
10 yards.
Bajorquist, come on, you're better than that.
But hey, look again. This all goes back to like. Who's the guy teaching technique to these guys? Who's the guy that's holding them accountable for staying in their technique and working at their craft? Like you can't. If there was a big moment in the game,
yeah,
and you dropped a 10-yard punt,
well, we're screwed.
What do you do? Like that's a prefer problem.
That's the new saying for the rest of the. Well, it's
hashtag prefer problem.
Yeah, we always have a prefer problem. So overall, though, pure domination by the Browns. Total yards, Browns 440, Bengals 229. Time of possession, Browns 36-45, Bengals 23-15. We just absolutely humped them. We humped them hard.
Hard.
I mean, the Browns look like the team they were supposed to be in all aspects of the game in this one, right?
That's what's so frustrating watching this team.
Yeah.
Because last night, I'll be honest, like I didn't have a lot of expectations. I'm like, here we go again, national television. We're 2-5. We're about to show everybody in the country our ass.
Why we're 2-5,
and then they come out and play like that, and it's like that's in you, that's there.
And that's to your point. That's why it's so frustrating being a Browns fan, because I know that the last few weeks have been rough for those players sitting here listening to all of the Browns fans talk about how bad they are, but. We do believe in you guys, and that's part of the reason why we come down so hard on this team is because we know they're better than that.
We know they're better than
3-5. We've had a taste of it with a team a couple years ago that was less talented than what we are now.
We could taste it.
Yeah, so I mean that's part of why we've come down so hard on them to start this season is because they are much better than what their record shows.
So much better.
And speaking of this game, this is the effort that they have to put forth every single week if they want to get back into this thing and be a contender at the end of the year. I mean, you got to grind the entire rest of the year, and this is what it's going to have to look like.
Yeah, because you're going to have to rip off 4 of 6 at minimum just to kind of get back into it.
Yep.
Like you need a 7-8 game stretch where you have 1 loss.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say, we talked about it a little bit already. The Browns locker room, they had their problems after last week. There was arguments after the Ravens game in the locker room. Everybody could hear everybody yelling. All the reporters could hear everybody yelling outside of the locker room. It seems like they came together a little bit, and I think it's kind of what you said. It's trying times right now. There's a lot of guys out. Really galvanized the team and made them play for each other. And I think this may be, if we do end up somehow making a run here and making the playoffs by the end of the year, I think you look at this game and you say that was the turning point in the season.
It's either going to be the turning point in the season or
it's not.
They're going to be Quincy Morgan.
Yeah. But it should provide great momentum going into the bye. But, like I said, if we can make the playoffs, it may be a little too late. And by that, I don't mean that they're completely out of the playoff hunt. I'm just saying they may have given up too many games early to have a real shot at the playoffs, because in the NFL, it's really hard to win, and you need every single game, and we gave up too many of them.
And it just hurts when you lose those games, because
games that you should have won.
They've outside of the New England game,
pretty much every loss that they had.
There wasn't a team they played that was better.
And we'll say even give away another one because you can't win them all. If you won 2 or 3 more games right now,
Well, yeah, I'll give
you're right.
I'll
You're
give
right
you
in
New England, and I'll give you the Jets game, because sometimes things happen that you just can't account for just in the normal course of human events.
That's the game you're giving us.
Yep,
Just the most wild.
just the most ridiculous things happen.
Like
sometimes.
it's like a full moon. You
and
can
just
stop it.
completely takes you aback and by surprise, and you don't have any answers for it.
Fair. I accept. I get where you're going with this.
But no team outside of New England, and I don't even think New England's roster is better than ours.
No.
But they played better on the field. But no other team that we've played this year has looked better on the field than the Browns.
No.
We've beat ourselves every week.
Yeah, absolutely. Other Browns notes in this, I didn't see any big injuries. Were there any big injuries in this one?
Just Conklin kind of getting
which he was already
shuffled around.
Yeah, he was already injured. He was dealing with an injury coming into it, and he was just kind of banged up. So I didn't really take that into account. Anything else?
And on the Bengals side, I know they had a couple of guys that popped out. They're reeling a little bit too. They had some injuries, but like we said, Denzel Ward was out. Joe Haig.
Oh, we had big names out in this. Joe Haig, not a big name, but he's depth for our offensive line. Denzel Ward, absolutely a big name. And we're down a few players on the defense that were starters when they were here. Like you said, we're down to our third dot. So
yeah, down to your third dot. I mean, Wyatt Teller was out of this game too, and
right.
And
I knew there was another big one I was missing.
And JOK didn't play in this game.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, the Bengals can claim, hey, we didn't have Jamar Chase, but we were in the same boat.
Yeah, I will say I do think they're a different offense with Jamar Chase, but at the same time,
clearly.
If we have our full complement of players on the defense, does that even matter?
Yeah.
So, and then the trade deadline was today. We were waiting on word for Greedy Williams and Kareem Hunt. We'll get into the full slate of trades that went down, and it was a freaking doozy.
Trade deadline madness.
But Greedy Williams and Kareem Hunt, spoiler alert, are still on the Browns.
Still Browns. Joe Burrow's 0-4 against the Browns. Stefanski's 5-0 against the Bengals. The Browns are 3-0 when Nick Chubb gets 20 or more carries, and they win an October football game.
We've done it on the last day of October. All right, so that's going to take us to the Burning River Sportscast Dog of the Week.
I'm a dog, Who let the dogs out? Dog mentality. Come on now. I'm coming in to kill right away.
So the Dog of the Week, Jacoby Brissett.
I was just going to say, because the sounder is Perry and Winfrey, I don't think he dressed for the game.
He didn't. The Dog of the Week is Jacoby Brissett. I mean, he took it to another level. He went from 250 yards to 278 yards. So
that was optimum Jacoby.
But no, for real, he was 17 of 22, 278 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, 6 carries, 12 yards, and a touchdown. And once again, just uber efficient. And did you see that touchdown run?
Uber is efficient. It put taxis out of business.
Did you see that touchdown run?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the most.
How mobile is he, Kenny?
Most mobile quarterback.
Oh, Jacoby Brissett's not mobile at all.
The most mobile quarterback in the AFC North. I'll stamp that.
Hey.
He's the most mobile quarterback in the AFC North.
Let's talk about this for a second. Early on this season, you acted like I was insane for saying that he was mobile in the fact that I didn't say he was fast or could just make huge plays with his legs. I said he gets out of trouble and he keeps plays alive. And you gave me so much shit and acted like I was an insane man.
Jacoby Brissett has 142 rushing yards in the season.
Hey, almost every week you text me and say you're impressed with something that he did with his legs.
Because he's not a mobile quarterback. So, yes, when he makes plays with his feet, it is impressive.
You know what the definition of insane is?
Look, 142 yards does not a mobile quarterback make.
Listen, you keep being a denier. But the fact is, Jacoby Brissett.
Look, I'm not a Jacoby denier.
Is versatile.
I'm not a Jacoby denier. I'm a Jacoby as a mobile quarterback denier. But that being said, he did have a tremendous touchdown run.
Best pump fake in the game, bro.
If Myles Garret has the dirtiest sack in the game, Jacoby has the dirtiest double pump in the game.
Oh, yeah. We haven't done it in a while, but here's a dig at Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield used the pump fake more than anybody I know. He pump faked all the time for no reason, and it did nothing. It literally did nothing to anybody ever.
Oh, come on.
But Jacoby Brissett, he picks his spot with his pump fake, and every time he pump fakes, the linebacker or DB or whoever like looks that way, like something's going to happen.
He moved the camera guy.
Right. Like it's the dirtiest, Myles Garret has the dirtiest sack in the game. Well,
I just said that he's got the dirtiest
Jacoby
double pump
Brissett
in
has
the game.
the dirtiest double pump in the game.
I mean, outside of the fumbleception play, this was as good a game as you're going to get out of Jacoby Brissett.
Which I get. We can argue whether or not he held, he waited too long to pull that down. But the fact of the matter was there was like 6 guys on him. So
he still was the one that fumbled the ball.
Fair. I'm really excited that he was able to get one of the Burning River Sportscast Dog of the Week awards because
his time is coming.
Yeah, we all know his days are numbered. But I think that as a collective, the Browns fans are grateful for everything that Jacoby has done this season. I think he's far exceeded expectations. Not obviously our record's not great, but he himself has exceeded expectations from what we thought was going to happen going into the season.
You say his days are numbered, but are they?
Yes. $240 million, man. $230 million.
I'm not saying because he's been playing so good. I think
know what you're saying.
If they don't win a bunch of games before Deshaun comes back,
we only got 3 left before he comes back.
I know, and if you lose all 3 of them, and you're 3-8,
I still don't buy it because I know you're saying that what's a quicker way to get Kevin Stefanski fired is by getting Deshaun Watson hurt. But on the flip side of it, if he just doesn't play him and we tank the rest of the season, I mean, he's getting fired anyways. So.
Well, maybe that's for the best.
Nah, well, that's for each man to decide for himself.
Oh, we won't hold that against you. That's for each man to decide for himself.
So Jacoby Brissett, the Burning River Sportscast Dog of the Week.
Dog of the Week.
All right, so before we get any further with this week's games, let's go ahead and take a revenue break. Towpath Distillery. Towpath Distillery, the newest craft distillery in Northeast Ohio, located in Akron and family owned. Towpath Distillery focuses on high-quality spirits carefully made in small batches. Towpath's lineup includes an ultra-smooth, award-winning premium vodka, a small batch silver rum made from the highest-grade molasses, an American craft gin made with 9 botanicals, and a blended straight bourbon made from corn and rye. Towpath Distillery. Visit towpath-distillery.com to find an agency near you where the spirits are available, and make sure to ask your local bartender and restaurateur. Towpath Distillery. Handcrafted, small batch, local, and family owned.
Get some.
That's a nice hat you got.
Thank you. I got it from the guys at Towpath Distillery.
They're nice. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the division roundup. Raising the roof over there. Nice. I like it. So, this week for the division roundup, we both picked the Browns game wrong.
That was me. That was a buzzer. Sorry.
What the hell just happened? That's the worst. You want to hear the most annoying sound in the world? Yeah, so we both picked that one wrong. But like we said earlier, I mean, if that's what it takes to get a win from the Browns,
I'm here for it.
I'm going to pick against the Browns every week.
I'm here for it.
The Steelers game, they lose to the Phillies. The Phillies. We went to baseball.
You're trash.
The Steelers lose to the Philadelphia Eagles, 35-13.
Yeah, I mean, that Flyers game was crazy. They just crushed them.
Just shut up. They lost to Philadelphia, 35-13.
The Steelers are trash. That thing's coming unraveled quickly there.
Oh, yeah. We'll talk about it when we get into the trades. It's just a fire sale.
Yeah.
But we both picked that game right because Kenny finally came to his senses and stopped picking the Steelers.
I'll never pick the Steelers again, at least this year.
Yeah. Baltimore defeats Tampa Bay 27-22, and we were both right on that one. So we both went 2-1 this week.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay is actually a lot closer than I thought it would be because Tampa Bay has been pretty bad.
Yeah, Baltimore's a well-coached team, and they've had defensive struggles, but we've also seen them rally and win games. So nothing that they do surprises me. Tampa Bay, I don't know why we end up. I guess because we must be playing the NFC South this year, but because it feels like we're talking about Tampa Bay every week and how bad Tom Brady is.
We got a game coming up against them in a few weeks here.
But yeah, that's a disaster down there too.
Yeah,
they'll win more games than the Steelers will, but man, I don't know what's going on down there or what they're going to do.
Tom Brady got divorced.
Maybe LeBron will get traded to the Buccaneers or something.
Will that help? He's like 40 now.
Can't be worse than what they got.
Tom Brady's 45, so
yeah, and he says he's got no plans to slow down, and now he's off the leash.
He's off the leash, so he can put up mediocre numbers until the end of his career.
Divorce is final,
yeah.
But he is.
They did announce that list this past week. Sorry about that, Tom Brady. Feels bad.
Yeah, R.I.P. to marriage.
To Brazil.
Giselle will be fine. She's worth $100 million.
Yeah, fun fact, in case, I always find that fascinating because everybody thinks Tom Brady has got to be worth so much money.
And he is worth a lot of money.
He is worth a lot of money.
A lot of endorsement deals and a lot of contracts.
Giselle's worth like twice as much as he is.
Yeah, like 10 times as much.
Yeah, it's insane.
She's big time.
Big time.
So hopefully he's getting spousal support.
Slap at the base, big time.
Slap at the bass. That sounded like Borat. Yeah. Slap at the bass. Big time.
It's completely threw you off with
Full on dumpster fire there.
Yeah, so that's it for the AFC North. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, now it's your turn. How do you like it? You can't talk either.
That's it for the
Mr. Jams.
So,
how does it feel?
It feels bad.
You like that? You want some of that? You like that?
You're really making me feel bad.
You like that?
Stop it.
There was something about Tom Brady that we forgot to talk about.
Did Antonio Brown say something else?
No, I wish he did though.
Tampon Bay, Tom Booty. You dig?
And now I'm drawing a complete blank. Maybe it'll come to me later in the show.
Maybe it will, maybe it won't.
If we have to, I'll jump in with a Tom Brady break.
But since you can't think of it, let's take a trip around the rest of the NFL.
Tom Brady breaking news. I remember.
What was it?
I think he's now, I say one game, but it's one game's worth of yards away from being the first NFL player in history to throw for 100,000 passing yards.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's pretty good.
It is pretty good. Even if you played football for 30 years, there's a lot of guys that wouldn't make it to 100,000. So
yeah,
that's pretty impressive.
It's a fair point. So let's start off with around the NFL with Russell Wilson. It's become one of my favorite things to do this year is rip on Russell Wilson.
Every year we talk about Tom Brady. Every year, every episode we talk about Tom Brady and Russell Wilson being bad.
Oh, I just love it. It just makes my life fantastic. Russell Wilson, though, he did finally get a win this week, but he still looked just mediocre at best. And did you see him? Like, he's just doing all kinds of weird stuff. He's doing calisthenics on the entire plane ride over to London, and then he's out there before the game, just like they made it like a weird thing that the Broncos put up. He's getting into his own headspace, and like he's out there just like nobody's out there. He's just swaying his arms in the middle of the field.
Broncos country. Let's ride.
Let's ride.
I think the most exciting Russell Wilson news, and you may even have this in here later. I don't know. I never look at the show notes.
His whole team got traded.
No, after the Seahawks win, Tyler Lockett said, "It's amazing what we can do when no one's fighting over the credit."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I don't think it's a shock to anybody based off of the things that were said in the media and everything that was going on there when he was, the last year or so in Seattle, that pretty much all the players, the coaches, everybody were kind of fed up with him. So it is what it is. What can you do? He sucks.
Broncos country. Let's ride.
Let's ride. The best news is soon we'll be able to see if the Browns made the right choice by putting all their eggs in the Watson basket rather than the Russell Wilson
Is
basket.
that the best news? What if it turns out we didn't?
Either way, we'll know.
What if Deshaun comes in and plays worse than Russell?
That's going to feel real bad.
And what if Deshaun is doing calisthenics on their plane?
That's going to feel real. He's probably going to be...
With his towel on.
I'm not going to go there. You went there. I didn't. Another team we like to make fun of. The Panthers. Did you watch the Panthers-Atlanta game? Nobody watched the Panthers-Atlanta game. Come on. But we've talked about both of these teams being bad all year long. And this game absolutely lived up to the lack of the hype. It's just a complete comedy of errors. Like, Carolina tied it late, and then DJ Moore took off his helmet and got
the old Dwayne Rudd.
Yeah, Yeah, took off his helmet, got a penalty, and the extra point to go ahead was a 48-yard extra point that was then missed by, what is that guy's name, Piniori?
That's a Mike Prefer extra point.
Yeah.
Pinheiro.
I'm going with a Piniori.
I was trying to figure out what you wrote there. I was like, what's a Piniori? Yeah, Eddie Pinheiro. Poor Eddie Pinheiro had a rough day.
Bad job out of him. So
I think that last kick
hold on.
Yeah.
We weren't done. So that's how it went to overtime. And then in overtime, the Panthers get an interception deep in Atlanta territory to help set up a 33-yard field goal for the win. Guess what?
Pinheiro
missed it again. And then the Falcons went ahead and took the ball down the field and got their own game-winning field goal. And the Panthers just suck. They're so bad.
Are the Panthers beyond trash? They're just ass.
Oh, they're hot ass. Not like a hot ass. They're just hot ass. Like when you've been sitting there too long. It's just bad. They're so bad. And now, they've already gotten rid of their running back. They've already gotten rid of their quarterbacks. They've already gotten rid of their defensive coordinator. Now they're probably going to fire their kicker this week too.
And they've officially benched Baker Mayfield for PJ Walker.
Well, yeah, because PJ Walker beat the GOAT. Why would you not? Speaking of someone the Panthers shipped out.
Think about their quarterback room right now.
So bad.
What's happening?
So bad. Do they just sit around telling like horror stories of their careers?
Which washed up quarterbacks can we add this week?
Don't know. But speaking of someone the Panthers shipped out, CMC pulled out the first touchdown trifecta since 2005.
CMC pulled out.
No, but he had a receiving touchdown, a rushing touchdown, and a passing touchdown.
That would be the trifecta.
So that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, the 49ers all of a sudden are the real threat. They were always like well coached and could run the ball, and Deebo Samuel's pretty good. With CMC, they have
a lot of weapons.
They have a pretty good shot now.
Yeah. While we're on the subject of big games from running backs, Derrick Henry rushes for 200 yards and ties OJ and AP for the most 200-yard rush games in NFL history with 6. And here's what I'll say about that. Can you imagine how good Nick Chubb would be if he got the carries that Derrick Henry gets?
That's not where I thought you were going to go with that. But
well, the other place I was going to go with it is I always want to call him Mark Henry. Like the old sexual chocolate.
Sexual chocolate.
Because Derrick Henry's just a massive dude. So every time I see him, I just think of Mark Henry. But
remember when, the sexual chocolate, that was when he had the, who was that? Mae Young that he was with?
Oh, yeah. Those were the good old days. Some of the things I watched when I was a child.
You noted in here the ties OJ and AP. Man, people forget how good OJ Simpson was, because of the whole murder thing.
When you kill people, people forget the good things.
But that guy was pretty good.
Even to an extent, AP. People forget how good he was because he went and beat his kid with a stick.
Yeah.
You can't do that. That's bad. That's bad things.
Got canceled on him.
Child abuse is never good.
Murder's objectively worse.
Yes. Much, much worse. I don't like to weigh murder and child
crimes of humanity.
But anyways, imagine if Nick Chubb got the carries that Derrick Henry does.
He would already have 2,000 yards on the season.
It's just insane.
He's on pace for already a ridiculous
I think in that game,
season.
Derrick Henry had 33 carries or something like that.
Yeah, he did because he has a coach that knows that's the best way for them to win games.
Oh, this is working in this game? We'll keep doing it.
Yeah, keep doing it because none of these guys are going to play forever. You can't save them forever. They have to play at some point. Are you saving Nick Chubb for when he's 33 years old? That'll be the year we let him go off. Stefanik.
Sounds asinine to me. More running back news. Zeke was sidelined with an injury this week, and Tony Pollard had a day. 14 rushes, 131 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Another trifecta.
Down there's some Dallas fans calling for Pollard to start now. And I'm going to be honest with you. I just really don't buy that Tony Pollard is better than Zeke. Do I think Zeke has lost a step since his early days? Now, do I think he's far less explosive than he once was? Yeah. But Tony Pollard's been on that team for 4 years. If he was better than Zeke, he'd have the job already.
I don't know, man. Tony Pollard's pretty
Here we
good.
go. You love Tony. You love Tony Pollard.
It's not even so much that I love Tony Pollard. I do think Tony Pollard is a good running back and has good speed. I just think Zeke is disinterested.
That's fair. Like I said, he is less explosive and he just doesn't look like the Zeke of old. But I think even with that being said, I would still stick with Zeke. I think they're crazy for. Tony Pollard has showed in the past that he can have a good game in relief.
Look,
but anytime he's had an extended period of time as the starting running back, it hasn't been good.
I'm not saying that Tony Pollard is O.J. Simpson.
That sounded like what you said.
Or AP.
It sounds like you might have said that.
In fact, I would say if I was starting an NFL franchise today and you said, do you want Tony Pollard to start it with? I'd be like, no.
Absolutely. I don't even want him on the team.
But I wouldn't take Zeke either.
That's true. That's fair.
As much as I love Zeke just from Ohio State nostalgia,
yeah. Well, those were his most dominant days.
Zeke's my dude, but I don't want him on my team.
So let's go ahead and stay in the NFC East here.
The best division in football?
Oh, yeah. The Giants have been the surprise team of the NFL this year. But the Geno Smith resurgence continues, and the Seahawks beat the Giants. I think this is it, man. I think it's starting to happen. The Giants, I just don't think are as good as their record indicates, and I think the losses are going to start piling up.
I don't know, man.
You can not know all you want, but it's going to happen.
Brian Daboll.
You love Daballs.
It's something cooking there.
Agree to disagree.
I do think the Seahawks are for real.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say you're probably right there.
To lose Russell Wilson, and I know we've been dogging on him, but let's be honest, Russell Wilson for the last 10 years has been one of the top quarterbacks in the league.
But now he's washed.
To lose a guy like that has been the face of your franchise for all that time, that you won a Super Bowl with, and have Geno Smith come in, and somehow they're not just winning football games, they're good.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just
tremendous coaching job.
Completely flabbergasted on the year that Geno Smith is having. It just is unreal. Which, I mean, good for him. He's been pretty resilient. He's bounced around. He's had some bad breaks, and I like that he's having the year that he's having. But it's just flabbergasting.
Also, how old is Pete Carroll? Like 100?
Got to be at least 75.
I think he's like 76 or 77, and he looks great for his age.
He's out there running around, screaming, yelling, jumping up and down, running up and down the sideline. It's insane.
That requires a Google. Go on, I'll Google this.
Speaking of teams losing, though, the Raiders were shut out by New Orleans 24-0.
I was wrong. He's 71. Still impressive, though.
Still impressive. Raiders shut out 24-0 by New Orleans. Raiders' first shutout loss in 8 years. And then after the game, McDaniels comes out and says, I take full responsibility for this. But
sounds familiar.
Yeah. What's the over-under on how many games Josh McDaniels has left with them? I would say it's like 2.
The Raiders are one of those franchises that kind of like the Browns. They're just notoriously bad decision makers. So who knows?
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, I mean, but what's the over-under? I said it should be 2 games for them until Josh McDaniels gets fired.
I think Josh McDaniels is the coach next year.
Well, either way, we've talked about it before. Teams just keep hiring this guy. The Raiders are now 2-5. Josh McDaniels may be trash.
He is trash.
But you know what? He's sure to have a job with the New England Patriots.
Job security.
As soon as he gets fired.
With Uncle Bill.
Yeah. Speaking of Bill.
Oh.
Bill Belichick. The man got win number 325 over the weekend, and now is second most wins all time by a head coach in NFL history. Only behind the great Don Shula.
He's another one that's getting up there in age. How long does he have left?
Google that. He's got to be like 80.
How many years does Bill Belichick have left?
I mean, if it's even
to coach at that level,
if it's even a few, I mean, they're probably because they draft well and their organization has run well.
He's 70, so Pete Carroll's got a year on him.
Wow, that's you look at Pete Carroll and you look at Bill Belichick and tell me who's older. You would never pick Pete Carroll.
And how about Nick Saban?
How old's he?
71.
Dang,
that guy has found the fountain of youth.
Yeah.
Give me whatever he's on. Whatever they're paying those Alabama players to get.
But anyways, he trails only Don Shula. Don Shula has 347. So, I mean, if he can last another 3-4 years, he's probably got him.
He isn't, I guess it depends on how good they are. But
I mean, even if you're a bad team, if you last 4 more years and average 5 wins a season, you're right there. So,
yeah.
I think he's probably going to catch him. So that'll do it for our Week 8 coverage. Let's just go ahead and talk about the trade deadline. The trade deadline madness.
Trade deadline madness. It was madness.
Oh, yeah. Just people going all over the place, every which way. It was insane. You know who didn't get traded? Kareem Hunt and Greedy Williams.
No Browns.
Still with the Browns. The Browns didn't make any moves. Don't know if they had to. Like we said, we have a lot of talent on this team. We just haven't won. So, but somebody in our division that did make a move, the Ravens got Roquan Smith from the Bears for a second rounder. In case anyone was wondering, the leading tackler in the NFL just came to Baltimore.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, super unfortunate for us.
Feels real bad that I have to see that guy twice a year.
He's probably the best, if not the best. He's top 2 or 3 at his position in the league.
Oh yeah. So not fun that we have to deal with him. The Steelers today traded away Chase Claypool to the Bears for a second rounder.
Big move.
So is it official? Is this full on rebuild over there?
Yeah, I think it has to be. They're probably starting to stockpile assets because they know Kenny Pickett. There's the Picketts.
Oh, so many Picketts. But supposedly Chase Claypool behind the scenes has been a distraction this year. But that's how you know that it's a good organization. Is guess who didn't know that? Anybody. Yeah. But the Bears stole him at the 11th hour from the Packers, who were in desperate need for wide receivers. Which hurts bad for the Packers, especially losing out to a division rival like that. And just a reminder, another note about this trade, we got Amari Cooper for a 5th rounder.
Yeah, that was 4D chess for sure.
Yeah, it took the Steelers, the Bears, a second rounder to get Claypool.
Yeah, so, Chase Claypool's younger than Amari. I don't know that he's as good as Amari or that he's ever going to be.
No, he won't. And
especially if he's going to the Bears.
Yeah. Well, Justin Fields, I think Justin Fields is a good quarterback. I just think he doesn't have any help. He has no offensive line help. He gets smothered every play.
Justin Fields is a guy that I want to do well. I don't know if he will do well.
I think he will. Dude's got an arm, but you got to have time.
He's going to be the next Geno Smith.
They probably shouldn't have went and got receivers for him. They probably should have went and bulked up the offensive line so he has time to throw the ball.
What about a running back?
Really, anything. Anything. I guess receiver probably helps because they need it all. They're pretty bad. But yeah, so the fans in Pittsburgh have been asking all year, please fire Matt Canada. Instead, they traded Chase Claypool. So I guess, you win some, you lose some. I hope Mike Tomlin's the next one to go over there because I just don't want to have to face him anymore. Oh, we've talked about this at length, but I hope that's the next move.
Yeah. Look, this is what we love about the NFL, right? Is that there is parity. The Steelers have been good for a long time, so it's time for them to be ass, and I'm okay with that.
One thing that they did do on the reverse side of things, they traded for Commanders cornerback Will Jackson III. So it looks like they're trying to at least fix some of the problems that they have on defense, and I'm guessing that's probably as part of the rebuild. They try to get back to that identity of we're going to be a tough-nosed defensive team. And
what if they bring in Josh McDaniels at the end of the year?
I would be so excited. I would be so excited to just hump the Steelers every time we play them. Oh my gosh, please do that. But yeah, the Eagles, speaking of the Bears trading away good players, the Eagles got Robert Quinn from the Bears, so that was a big trade. And then TJ Hawkinson traded to the Vikings for a second rounder in 23 and fourth rounder in 24. Basically, everybody in that division except for the Packers got better.
Yeah, the TJ Hawkinson trade, I feel like they got a haul for that guy.
I guess I shouldn't say they got better. The Bears got rid of Roquan Smith Robert Quinn. But
they got the Chase Claypool though.
Yeah, they did.
The T.J. Hawkinson trade just was shocking to me because
I didn't see that coming. I mean, it's like the
he's okay.
Well, it's like the Lions just out of nowhere were like, all right, we give up on this season. Like he's one of their main weapons. They're just like, I guess we're done. Let's move on. But yeah, another thing that I have here that's worth noting that after the trade for wide receiver Chase Claypool, the Bears. This is probably where I was going with. Everybody got better in that division except for the Packers. The Bears still have picks in the first round, the second round, the third round, 2 in the fourth round, 2 in the fifth round, and the seventh round in the upcoming draft. So
they have some picks.
Yeah, I mean they have all of the assets they need to make a quick turnaround. So there's that. The Dolphins were busy at the trade deadline.
Sure were.
The Broncos traded Bradley Chubb to the Dolphins.
That was a guy I would have liked to have.
Yeah.
If we had Chubb and Chubb.
You're telling so much Chubb. And the Broncos got a first rounder for him. So, I mean, the Dolphins are saying F them picks. They also got Chase Edmonds and wait, that's not right. No, the Broncos got Chase Edmonds, I think. And the Dolphins got running back Jeff Wilson from the 49ers. So, yeah, I mean, there's just people going everywhere. The Dolphins, they got 3 first-rounders back in the deal from the 49ers, if you remember, when they traded the 49ers traded to move up to get Trey Lance in the draft a few years ago.
How's that working out?
So they got the first-round pick in 21, a first-round pick in 22, and a first-round pick in 23. Miami has turned around and traded the 21 pick for Jalen Waddle, the 22 pick for Tyreek Hill, and the 23 pick for Bradley Chubb.
And where's Trey Lance?
Hurt. Not even playing. So you be the judge. You be the judge.
This next one.
Whew, I did not see this coming. Calvin Ridley, while he's been sitting at home for betting on nothing, basically.
Sitting at home playing fantasy football.
Yeah, he was traded from Atlanta to the Jaguars. Woof.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, he can't play until next year anyway, so it doesn't matter, but
things are getting more complicated for Trevor Lawrence, I think, down there.
Yeah.
You know, the honeymoon is kind of over.
Yeah. Well, they started out, they were kind of exciting early on. They had some good offensive days early on in the season, and then they've really tapered off and just look like their same old ass selves again.
To me, a move like Calvin Ridley coming there is kind of the last smoke signal.
I would agree. It's like, all right, we're getting you Calvin Ridley. So
got you help.
If you don't do something with him.
Yeah.
And I think it also points to the fact that they've completely given up on this year. And they're like, we got Calvin Ridley for next year.
Right.
And then the Broncos also got defensive end Jacob Martin from the Jets. So another I wouldn't say huge name, but
and Nyheim Hines was on the move.
Did he end up going?
Yes.
Where'd he go?
To Buffalo.
Which I guess makes sense because here's the trade deadline rundown that I have next. These are all the guys that changed teams. And this goes back even a couple weeks before the trade deadline. We got Christian McCaffrey, Roquan Smith, Bradley Chubb, Calvin Ridley, Robert Quinn, T.J. Hawkinson, Jeff Wilson, Chase Claypool, Kadarius Toney, Nyheim Hines, Zach Moss, Jonathan Hankins, James Robinson, Robbie Anderson, Chase Edmonds, A.J. Klein, Deion Jones, and Justin Herron. Just so many, pretty regular names that you hear pretty often just on the move.
The NFL trade deadline is starting to look like the NBA's.
Oh, yeah. It lived up to the hype this year. I mean, every year it just kind of comes and goes. There might be a move or two, but really nothing big happens. It was really the only thing holding the NFL back from dominating the headlines at all times. And they delivered this year.
I'm not sure how I feel about it.
You don't like all the players moving?
I don't love all the movement.
I love it.
Like growing up, I was like, you have your favorite players and you just hope they play for your team forever.
The past is past. The future's now. It's time for trades in the NFL.
Okay. I mean, I just think the NBA has watered down their product so much by It's not
super teams.
It's not player empowerment, but it's
that's what they call it.
But it's what that's become, right? And it's the creation of these super teams. And in today's NFL, where the cap is kind of like to whose line is it anyway? Where like we have all these rules, but they don't matter.
Where the points don't matter.
The points don't matter.
Yeah.
So I fear that's the direction the NFL is heading.
Yeah,
and I think instances like today's trade deadline kind of illustrate that.
Well, you can fear all you want, but here's the deal. It was exciting as hell watching the trade wire today.
It was exciting. If there's one thing the NFL wants to do, it's be the headline.
Yeah. It was just I just remember around the deadline was at 4 p.m. So around like basically between 1 and 4, every time I looked at my phone, there was another big name on the move. And I was like, what is happening right now? I couldn't even keep up with it.
The NFL wants to be the headline as long as the headline isn't O.J. Simpson, Adrian Peterson, or Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, it probably, yeah. Or Myles Garret hitting somebody with a helmet. But anyways, with that, let's go ahead and get into the Browns bye week breakdown.
Woo!
I'm going to start it with this, Kenny Thunder. You ready?
I'm here.
Are you satisfied with Jacoby Brissett so far this year?
Am I satisfied? I'm never satisfied.
I'm never satisfied.
Never, ever. Look, Jacoby has afforded himself well. He has done everything that's been asked of him. He's been a professional all the way through. He's had some incredibly efficient games. We've talked about it every week. His advanced metrics are better than leading some of the household name quarterbacks in the NFL. From an efficiency standpoint, he's been good. He hasn't thrown a lot of touchdowns. He has had some lapses at the end of games, but some of those are kind of and I know you can't just pick and choose which stats you count, but
right.
But some of those were situational at the end of the game. Wasn't put in a great spot. We're asking things of him that really are tough to ask that to. So I think Jacoby has done everything in his power to do as good a job as he can, and I respect that. Yeah,
and I would agree with that. I would say, so this is a stat line for the season so far. 163 of 255, which is 64, just under 64% on his passing. 1,862 yards, 7.3 yards per pass attempt. 7 touchdowns to 5 interceptions and an 86.8 quarterback rating.
Yeah, and the one thing I will say about Jacoby is, and I think Jacoby's done a nice job for us this year, what I'm getting awful tired of hearing is how great of a job Kevin Stefanski has done with Jacoby, because if you look at those statistics...
It's almost a disservice to Jacoby.
Well, it's a disservice to Jacoby, but it's also, if you look at the numbers from previous years, what he did in Miami, what he did in Indianapolis, they're pretty much a carbon copy. 63% completions, touchdown to interception ratio. In fact,
here's his career numbers: 890 of 1463. So that's just under 61%. So the completion percentage is up a little bit. For 9,604 yards, a 6.6 average per pass attempt, 43 touchdowns, 22 interceptions, and an 83.7 rating. So actually, if you look at like touchdown to interception ratio,
yeah, I mean,
and to your point about Kevin Stefanski, most of the interceptions that Jacoby has thrown this year is because Stefanski put us in that position.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at the year he was in Indy as a starter for most of the year when Andrew Luck retired or whatever, I think he had like 18 touchdowns to 3 picks, and was right around 63.5% completion percentage. So I keep hearing this refrain that like, all the Kevin Stefanski defenders, like, we need a name for the Stefanski-ites, like we had the Baker Bros.
18-6 was the
18-6. So yeah, I mean, considerably better in other stops in his career at different points of time. So I just am so tired of the narrative that Jacoby's playing better than he ever has, and it's because he's got Kevin Stefanski calling the plays.
Yeah, I almost wonder if Kevin Stefanski would be a head coach and let somebody else, handle the offensive coordinator duties, if maybe Jacoby even played better.
Yeah, and I know you went through the career stats, and so like the completion percentages that was a little bit low. I think if you looked at The comparable time that he started in Miami and the comparable time that he started in Indianapolis versus this year's numbers through the same amount of games, you'd see that those numbers are almost identical.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they were pretty close. Even the ones that I read were pretty close. Yeah. So I would say I've loved what Jacoby has done. I think he's done even more than we asked him to do. But here's the big number is we're 3-5 right now. And it's not at all. I don't care what anybody says. They could talk about late interceptions in some of those games and whatever. It's not at all a reflection on Jacoby Brissett. That's all coaching. And so it kind of just irks me that we've gotten such good play out of him and we're at 3-5 because we don't know how to close out games or we don't know how to just play football and run the ball with our
and it's what we said in Cleveland forever, right? Like, give me mediocre quarterback play and we'll win a lot of games because we've always felt like we had rosters to do it. Like, you really have the roster now and you're getting better than mediocre quarterback play.
Yeah, and we still are losing games.
And you're still 3-5.
Yeah. So hopefully with the momentum going into the bye, the team's starting to come together a little bit and we can catch fire and rip off a few games here. So
bye.
All right. With that being said, so we talked about Jacoby. There are 3 games until Watson returns. Where do we need to be when he gets back?
Where do we need to be for what?
To be a contender the rest of the way.
Record-wise, where do you need to be?
Yeah, so we've got 3 games left. We're 3-5. How many wins do we need out of 3?
You probably have to win 2 out of the next 3 to get to, 5 and 6.
Yeah.
I don't think you can lose two more games. I think if you lose 2 more games, you're out of it.
I would say you're 100% right. And who do we got in there? We've got Buffalo, which is, good freaking luck.
Tampa Bay,
which now is earlier in the year. When we started the year, I probably would have said, I don't know. But
yeah, I marked that differently in the early part of the year for sure.
Yeah, so we've got Tampa Bay, and then the last one there is against
Dolphins, Bills, Buccaneers.
Yeah, so the Dolphins and the Bills, you're going to have to steal one from one of those teams because the Dolphins are playing really well right now too.
Yeah, I think from the Dolphins, you almost have to.
And you have to take care of business against Tampa Bay. Well, we're not writing off Tampa Bay. They still have Tom Brady, so.
True, he can beat anyone at any time. With the Dolphins, it's such a tough game to project because Tua's been hurt so often this year. And if you end up playing Teddy Bridgewater, your chances.
He was only hurt the one time. He just stayed hurt for a while.
Well, yeah, they wrecked his brain, though.
Yeah, but they've played well since he's come back, haven't they? They've won 2 out of 3 games since he's been back.
We'll see.
I'm just saying it's a pretty solid team.
I'm just saying he's not a very big guy.
I was going to say you're not a very big guy, but
he puts himself in harm's way quite a bit.
He does. Did you see the game that he came back and he was like, "I'm not going to take any hits in the 3rd play." He went and just lowered his
shoulder
helmet.
First. Yeah,
I don't know what that was about.
So I'm still counting on playing Teddy Bridgewater that week.
Yeah. So we're in agreement though. You have to bare minimum win 2 out of these 3 games, and ideally you win all 3. And find a way to be above 500 when Watson comes back, right?
Yeah. Here's the thing, too, is that gets you to a place where if Deshaun Watson comes back and looks like the all-pro quarterback that he was.
That's where it gets dicey, too, because there's going to be some rust.
Sure, you're maybe a contender. If it takes him a game or 2, hell, if it takes him the rest of the year to kind of look right, that wouldn't be unreasonable, right?
No.
It would be unreasonable from a standpoint of we paid him $240 million and you expect more.
Hey, let's keep in mind that he's only getting paid $1 million this year.
So it's okay if he bombs.
Yeah. I'm just saying. Everybody can say what they want, but they gave him the $1 million this year so that he could, they knew he was going to have a rough year. They're like, we're only paying you $1 million for that mediocre play.
Yeah. So everybody thinks it's going to be the second coming when Deshaun comes back. And I'm
temper expectations.
I'm holding my breath there because I think there's a lot of question. There's more question marks than anything else.
I'm right there with you. What I will say is, again, nothing against Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett has been more than we bargained for this year. And
he seems like a good dude.
Yeah, I agree. But with that being said, is Deshaun Watson, when he comes back, even if he is rusty, if Deshaun Watson's at 80%, 75% of what he normally is that better than a Jacoby Brissett?
Or is that Baker Mayfield?
I guess we won't know until it happens.
Where's that percentage threshold lie?
Well, Baker Mayfield's like 40% of Jacoby Brissett, so all right, that's an exaggeration, but still,
What was their record last year at this time?
Probably better, but
I will give Kevin Stefanski credit for that. They played pretty well and were in it all year with a hurt quarterback.
That's true. Here's the other thing too: is if we do win 2 out of 3, we're right where everybody said we needed to be when Watson.
Yeah, right around 500.
He said you just got to stay right around 500 and give us a shot.
That's assuming Deshaun's going to hit the ground running.
He might, but he might not.
He's going to hit the ground, that's for sure, one way or the other.
Another thing we've spent a lot of time talking about is these coaches. I mean, just in this segment alone, we've been talking down Kevin Stefanski and how poorly he's been. Now that the skid is over, what was it? 4 games, 3 games in a row? 3 games in a row?
4 games.
4 games in a row. Now that the skid is over, do we still need to fire all the coaches?
Yes.
Whoa! All of them? You want all of them gone?
Maybe not right now.
Full,
but
just overhaul.
But Mike Prefer is a problem.
Oh, I would give you that. Prefer problem.
He's a Prefer problem.
Prefer problem.
He's got to go and should go tomorrow. Every day that he gets hours on a time card for the Cleveland Browns is an absolute
waste of time,
dereliction of duty by those in charge.
Nice turn of phrase. I like that.
He's awful. He's awful. I've got no way to defend him.
No, nobody does.
Every week there's a special teams problem. There's an issue, and I just can't with him anymore. He's got to go. He needs to go right now.
I just can't.
I can't. That's the point that I'm at with him. I can't.
Are you feeling the same way about both Joe Woods and Kevin Stefanski? You've been a Joe Woods defender for part of the year. You finally came around to really hating Joe Woods for a couple weeks, but early on you were a Joe Woods defender.
I'm a Joe Woods defender through the end of the year. I think you keep Joe Woods through the end of the year, and I think you keep Stefanik through the end of the year.
Stefanik? You're staying till the end of the year.
But at the end of the year, I fire them both.
No matter what happens.
No matter what happens. Okay, they win the Super Bowl. They don't got to fire them. But I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl.
If they make it to the Super Bowl.
If they miss the playoffs, fire them both.
Okay, so that's the threshold.
That's my threshold.
If they make the playoffs, though, then...
If you make the playoffs, then Stefanski buys another year, but Joe Woods probably still needs to go.
You almost... okay, I'd give you that. You almost have to give Stefanik another year if they make the playoffs from here, because you're like, okay, what can he do with a full year of Deshaun?
Well, and look, and if he makes the playoffs with a Prefer problem at special teams and with Joe Woods as his defensive coordinator, then he did something exceptional to get that job done.
That's a fair
because those guys are human rain delays.
Yeah, I mean they're not good.
No,
they're really bad actually.
I just imagine if this team was well coached.
We'd be like whatever in 1 or 2.
I mean, if you had a coach that gave a damn in that office,
6-2 or 7-1, that'd be our record right now.
Yeah, you'd have people in Philadelphia doing podcasts going, I don't know, the Browns they're good apparently.
Instead, you've got people in Cleveland saying, I don't know about Philadelphia. Apparently, I guess they're a good team now. So, are the Browns a playoff team in your eyes?
No.
Are they even close?
They're close because they have the talent to do it. But by no means did this win save the season. Does it feel good today?
That was my next question. Did the Bengals win save the season?
Does it feel good today? Damn right it does.
Oh, I feel great today. I was just so hopped up all day. I was just wearing my Nick Chubb Batman shirt around, so excited.
I couldn't go to sleep last night. I was just I was
You know what time I went to bed last night?
Jacked.
2. You know what time I woke up? 6. Because I was just so jacked about the Browns.
I was so excited, and I hope every week is like that. But here's the thing: for 7 weeks before that, I've also hoped that would be like that. And 5 out of those 7 times, I was left feeling wanting.
You know what sucks?
The Browns.
No, I don't think they suck. But you know what sucks is that it's like They just beat us down and beat us down and beat us down. And then they give us this. They didn't just win. They absolutely dominated another team that looked like they were figuring it out and getting on the right track.
Showed you how good they can be.
And dominate them. Yep. And so what's going to happen out of the bye? Everybody's going to be so excited. But what else is going to happen out of the bye? We play the Bills, the Buccaneers, and Miami. 2 of those games are pretty much buzzsaws at the moment. And like, so if we do go 1-2 in those games, we're right back down to where we were before because
we said a couple of weeks ago this was the toughest stretch of their schedule, and they're in the meat of it now.
Oh yeah, I mean the Bills I'm just chalking up as a loss for us, like by 14, 15,
and then
16,
you're going to come out of it and have division games to wrap up the year. So
oh yeah. Funny thing about division games, and we're talking about the Bengals. They look like they were starting to get it figured out. They haven't won a game in the division this year.
The Bengals, like I felt like
they lost to the Steelers.
It felt like for the last 2 weeks, the Bengals were starting to get that identity back and starting to gel. Man, last night they were what I thought they were all year, which is they don't really have an identity. They have some good athletes on offense, but outside of that, what's really there? And if it's not all clicking, it's ugly.
Yeah, I would agree. And I would say I think Joe Burrow, his confidence is at a low for the season right now, not having Jamar Chase as his safety blanket to be able to throw it to whenever he wants.
I don't want Joey B to have confidence.
Oh, I agree.
There was a lot of people
actually like Joey
rooting for Joey B in the Super Bowl last year, and you know what? F them. Yeah. F them all.
Yeah, I would never, ever, ever root for the Bengals in the Super Bowl. But I do like Joey B as a person and as a player. He's fun to watch. He's got a lot of really good sound bites. He says funny things. But
I don't. I hope he gets gout.
Dang, it's just a slow burn. You just want him to get gout and he can't do it. Oh man, I got a gout flare up. I can't do anything today. You don't even want to it's like the most mundane suffering you could possibly think of. I hope he gets gout. Of all the things, you just a mild inconvenience for the most part.
Whew. Gout.
I just want you to get gout.
Before we move on, I know we're kind of at the end of the bye week breakdown. And since we don't have an opponent to face next week, I just wanted to bring one thing up.
Hold on. Before you even say that, the bye week breakdown, we didn't really get into everything this week. We have a whole extra week of bye week, so we're going to have much more to talk about next week.
Yeah, this is like half of the bye week breakdown. Next week will be a whole show on bye week.
Yeah. So give your final thing. And I actually want to tell our listeners about something that is new for the bye week breakdown, for the bye week next week. So go ahead.
Yeah. I just want to say this isn't even Browns related. I'm against the jersey numbers being changed.
What do you mean? What? I'm lost.
Letting inside linebackers wear single digits.
Oh, I'm against that too. It's so weird.
Letting anybody that you can wear whatever number you want, because I can't find anyone on the field.
It's so annoying when I see a number 1 make a tackle. I'm like, that's DB. Nope. Nope. It was a defensive end. What?
I get that the NFL was trying to be forward thinking and progressive and fun, and it's also a good marketing ploy because I'm sure they sold a lot of new jerseys for already popular players.
Yeah.
But I hated watching the games.
No, I'm okay with extending that to skill positions because they're all strange numbers a lot of the times anyways, whatever.
And they kind of were already doing that, right? Yeah, I mean,
they were allowed to
Josh
have
Gordon wore 12, 10 years ago.
They were allowed to have numbers in the teens and things like that.
And that was fine, but man, I hate seeing
Josh Gordon. There was a reach.
What? He wore 12.
Yeah, but I just hadn't heard that name in a while.
I'm just saying, that isn't.
Everybody doesn't
new,
like to talk about that.
But man, I cannot stand the funky numbers that they are allowing.
I can't stand.
It's probably an unpopular opinion, but
no, I mean I agree with you. I like that I can tell what position somebody's playing just by looking at their number.
Yeah, like I used to be able to see 32 and go, okay, like there's only so many positions 32 would play.
Like you're a running back, you're a linebacker, like that's not much else.
I don't like it.
Yeah, fair. What I was going to say before we get into our next segment here is something that we will be doing on the bye week. Next week will be the first week where we play calls from the Burning River Sportscast Hot Take Hotline.
The Hot Take Hotline. What is the Hot Take Hotline, Ronnie?
Just so you know, Lake Erie is pretty cold right now. Definitely not the Hot Lake.
Burning Lake podcast.
What is the Hot Take Hotline? Well, the Hot Take Hotline is where you can call in and just air any grievances. If you want to talk up the players, if you want to talk down the players, if you want to talk up the coaches, you want to talk down the coaches, it doesn't matter. Call us.
You want to talk us up or talk us down?
Yeah, you hate the show? Let us know.
That's fine.
Hey,
we hate you too.
Yeah, so just whether it's Browns, Cavs, Guardians, it doesn't matter. We want to hear everything that you have to say about Cleveland sports.
330-227-8080. 330-227-8080.
330-227-8080. 330-227-8080.
But if you're going to call us and leave a voicemail,
Bring the heat.
you better bring the freaking heat. Because
If you don't, I'm not airing you.
we're not putting junk
Because
out
guess who
there.
has the power? I got the power.
Wow. Ronnie jams on the power trip.
Sorry. But if you don't bring the heat, you won't make the air. So
On the Burning River Sportscast.
Burning River. All right. So
Hot Take Hotline.
we'll remind you again
Love it.
later. Don't worry. Let's get into the King of the North.
King of the North.
This is a good week for King of the North, huh?
Not really, because I tied with you.
Well, yeah, and we picked the Browns wrong, so that's bad. But let's just remind everybody, I went 2-1 last week. Kenny also went 2-1. And so the records as they stand now are, I have a record of 17-10, and Kenny holds a record of 14-13. Feels bad.
I'm positive on the differential now, though.
Yeah, you are. That's good. Yeah, feels real bad. Feels real bad that you're 14-13. But let's go ahead and do our predictions for this week. It's a real light week for the AFC North.
Oh, yeah, lots of buys.
Pittsburgh and Cleveland, we're both on buys this week. So it saves you from watching a trash team and a team that has been far below what was expected.
And I don't have to pick the Steelers.
That's true. But Panthers at Bengals. This is a no-brainer. It's going to be the Bengals.
Yeah, the Panthers are really bad. They're starting an XFL as a quarterback, and their team has been dismantled. Bengals win.
Easy.
Bounce back game for Joey B after seeing ghosts this week.
Yeah, and then we got Baltimore at New Orleans on Monday night. Who you got?
Yeah, this one's a little more interesting. I think because they're in New Orleans and it's Monday night, I want to pick the Saints.
Okay.
But I think Baltimore is a better football team.
I thought you were going to be ballsy and actually pick the Saints in this one.
Bro, Myles Garret has the dirtiest sack in the game. Not me.
Nobody else.
Not me.
Yeah, I mean, New Orleans had a big win this week, shutting out the Raiders. But, I mean, they haven't been great this year.
How good-
And they're playing the freaking Red Rocket.
Yeah, I was going to say, how good can they be when Andy Dalton is your quarterback is the problem.
His nickname's the Red Rocket.
Is he still the Red Rocket after all these years?
Yeah, I mean, you don't lose a nickname like that. But anyways, I got Baltimore winning pretty easy.
Was he the Red Rocket or the Red Rifle?
I think they called him the Red Rifle. I just always called him the Red Rocket because he was a Cincinnati quarterback. I didn't like him. I think he's the Red Rocket.
Okay. Red Rocket goes down.
I can't believe it took you this long to call me out on that.
The Red Rocket.
But anyways, all right, for the land.
Are you tired yet? Running on an hour and 50 minutes.
This is a long podcast. I hope everybody stays for it.
For the land.
Guardians. Obviously, their season's over. And the World Series is going on right now, but I could care less about the World Series.
Who's in the World Series?
Houston and the Phillies, which I hope the Phillies just hump them. But
Phillies.
I mentioned the Phillies earlier. They were playing football, now they're playing baseball.
The Phillies and the Flyers.
Yeah. But I hope the Phillies beat them, but I just don't really care.
Yeah, I mean, I tuned out after the Guardians lost and after the Yankees lost. That was what I wanted to see.
The only reason you watched the Yankees is because you wanted them to lose because they beat the Guardians.
Right.
Yeah, and talk shit a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks again for an amazing season. I just want to take this moment to say did you have something else for the Guardians?
You can finish.
I was just going to say we probably won't be mentioning them again for a while unless something important comes up. There's no real reason to sit here and thank them every week. I think they know that we're grateful.
Yeah, Guardian season's done. We'll cover certainly any off-season moves, arbitration and such. But I was just going to say it's really a problem that I don't care about the World Series. Not for me personally, but for baseball.
Yeah, I love sports, but I don't care about the World Series.
Yeah, not that they just want me as a fan, but I had to think there's a lot of people that think similarly to that, man, they've just done such a terrible job marketing baseball players. 5 baseball players from any given team could walk into your bathroom on any given day and you wouldn't know who they were.
Yeah. I mean, we know football players' names more than theirs.
And
there's 22 people. If you count special teams, there's 33 people that make up a team, and they wear helmets. We don't see their faces.
It's just amazing to me how much more recognizable NBA players are and NFL players are, even to people that are casual fans. Like, if you ask my wife, she doesn't like sports really at all, but she knows who Tom Brady is. Like,
who doesn't?
If
everybody knows who LeBron James is.
If Mike Trout tackled her in a grocery store, she would have no idea who he was.
Yeah, that's fair. One of the biggest names in baseball. He just kind of looks like a normal guy, which isn't the problem. The problem is they don't put his face on everything.
If only he was more ugly.
If they would just put his face on everything.
Or stunningly handsome.
Yeah, one of the two. Come on. No, but I would agree with you. They really need to do something to drum up interest in baseball. I mean, I know it's America's pastime, and for a long time it was the number one sport out of the big 3, but it's really lost a lot of interest.
I think it's past time.
Good one.
I just think they need to bring steroids back.
Steroids in baseball!
Look how much fun everybody had watching Aaron Judge, and we know he's on the gas. We can get into that argument. Allegedly.
Yeah. We can get into that argument another day about steroids in baseball. But I will say this. The ratings were never higher than when Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa were battling it out every year. And when Barry Bonds came along and broke everyone's records. And
even the guys on the lower tier.
Sure, his head grew 4 sizes, but,
Even guys on the lower tier, your Palmeiro and some of those guys, like, they were still cracking 40 and 50 home runs, and people loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot, Jim Thome was cranking 50 homers.
Yeah. I mean, everybody was. Who wasn't?
Me.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to the Cavs. Cavs are currently sitting at 5-1.
Woo.
After losing on opening night, they've reeled off 5 in a row, and Donovan Mitchell and Karis LeVert both scored 41 against the Celtics this week. And it was the first time multiple Cavs have scored 40-plus in the same game since LeBron James and Kyrie Irving in Game 6 of the 2016 Finals.
Wow.
Yeah, I was excited. This team's good. This team's very good.
Yeah, they're going to be fun to watch all year long.
Yeah, and against the Knicks this week, Donovan Mitchell, Kevin Love, and Dean Wade combined for 22 threes. That's the most by a trio in NBA history. So, it's not just the top level guys that you think of, the Donovan Mitchells, the LeVert, Kevin Love, all of Mobley, all these guys. It's not just those guys. And Darius Garland hasn't even played, really. Even Dean Wade's getting into it. And isn't that the name of the Mighty Ducks guy? Dean Wade.
Emilio Estevez.
I swear to God.
No, this team is for real. And it's great to see Kevin Love come in and be a contributor.
Oh, I love that he's just embraced I'm the sixth man now. That's my role.
Yeah, he knows
it's that time of my career. That's my role.
Recognizes that, but what's more important is just that you go back to Kevin Love for the last couple of years. Before last year, he wasn't there. He was distant. He didn't care.
Well, and he did have. So I wonder how much like some of his mental health issues that he's very open about played a part in that. Maybe he's been able to get whatever help, whether it's medication or counseling or whatever else it is that he
I
needed.
just think he was like, I'm on a bad team and we're not winning anything. So
yeah, when you get to that point in your career and you're a perennial all-star and you're just like
it was total apathy and collecting a paycheck. And so to have the resurgence of an active, excited, energetic Kevin Love that's contributing on a nightly basis, it's awesome.
You know what's funny? Back when the super team came together for the Cavs, Kevin Love, Kyrie Irving, LeBron James. At that time, if you would have told me that Kevin Love was going to be the one that outlasts everybody in Cleveland and becomes probably pretty close to as endeared as LeBron is to this town. I would say as close as you can be. Nobody's going to be LeBron because
endeared for different reasons.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like the town loves Kevin Love. They love Love.
They haven't loved him for the last couple of years because things got a little ugly there.
Yeah, but I mean,
but
to
he
your
did
point,
choose us. He wanted to be here,
right? And so, if you would have told me that way back when, I would have said, "There's no way." But here we are. And I will say this: you're talking about him being a leader this season. So after that game where they set the record for most 3-pointers by a trio in NBA history, Kevin Love said in his interview that the players on the team were a little nervous about Donovan Mitchell coming in. Just because their chemistry was so great last year and they played so well together, they were worried about how he would fit in. But then he went on to say that it's only amplified their bond as a team. And Donovan Mitchell came in and just perfectly complements everything they're doing. And it takes it to a whole new level because the locker room vibe is still all there. So, I mean, it's good to hear out of a team that's young and just hungry right now.
And I think the fact that Garland really hasn't been on the floor things are going to change considerably once they have a chance to all play together too. So
yeah, and just the way this team plays, though, I can only see things getting better, which is scary.
Scary in a good way.
Hell yeah. Donovan Mitchell's numbers this year, in case anyone was wondering: 32.2 points per game, 7.3 assists per game, 4.5 rebounds per game, 1.7 steals per game. He's shooting 45.5% from 3-point range, and I know it's early, but we're only 6 games in. But right now, he's the leading candidate for MVP. And if he keeps this up, I mean, it's a no-brainer at that point. Those are just monster numbers.
Yeah, I mean, this early in the year, he's got an inside track to the MVP award. But look, I just hope that it continues, right? I mean, he's probably not going to average 32 all year long. But, man, what an impressive start.
Oh, yeah. We thought the Cavs were going to be good, and so far they're far exceeding even those expectations.
Question for you, though.
What's up?
Where did Donovan Mitchell get traded from?
Utah.
When Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are on the field at the same time, what do we call them?
Chunt?
Have you seen Utah's team lately and the fact that they're 6-2 and in first place in their division? Led by the duo of Rudy Gay and Colin Sexton. Gay sex for the win in Utah. Not a lot of expectations out there after they lost Donovan Mitchell this year, but man, they've put it together since he came to Cleveland.
Yeah, but we'll see at the end of the year who's got the better record. I hope we play them in the finals and win.
Donovan Mitchell or Gay sex?
They're in the West, right?
Gay sex has taken the NBA by storm.
This is getting risque. Yeah, I mean, if we just even remotely keep it up, as far as the Cavs go, and we play anywhere close to this level for the rest of the season, I think a deep playoff run is in the works.
Imminent.
Yeah. I mean,
I will say imminent.
I told somebody over the weekend, I said, we're winning a championship this year. I'm fully in.
I'm fully in and I'm not pulling out.
Never. So, yeah, that's it for the Cavs. We'll give you another update next week. But before we close this thing out, let's go ahead and take one more revenue break. Topeth Vodka. an ultra premium, extremely smooth, high quality vodka, 6 times distilled and made from Midwest corn and Ohio fruit. Clean and crisp, a truly high quality spirit made right here in Northeast Ohio. Towpath vodka. Kenny's holding this for people that can't see that. As we all know, I prefer bourbon, but this vodka is the smoothest.
All right, Billy.
And it makes a really great cocktail. So if you haven't had it, go find it.
I don't know if
you don't know anything.
Speaking of Towpath vodka,
are you gonna?
I went to
the Merchant Tavern.
The Merchant Tavern this weekend. I didn't
right
know,
there in the Valley in Akron.
I didn't know if that was because the distillery and the Merchant are affiliated.
So Towpath Distillery is located inside of the Merchant Tavern, right there on Merriman Road in the Valley in Akron.
I will just say, had a tremendous evening there. After my bowling league, I had a really good night at the lanes. I shot over 700.
I was going to say your first 700
for the first time in my life. And we went out, thought, let's go celebrate somewhere. The Merchant is, in this day and age, in COVID, there's not a lot of restaurants that kind of stay open past 11 or 12.
Nope.
They were open until midnight. They welcomed us in at around 10-ish, 10:30, and had just the best tomato bisque that I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. That's actually my favorite restaurant. And
it's very good.
I tell people all the time, I actually reposted, they interviewed me for one of their ads on their side, but their hot chicken sandwich is the best hot chicken sandwich I've ever had in my life.
My mother, she bowls with me.
My mother?
My wife.
Your mother's your wife? Wow.
Sorry. My mother bowls with us, and she was kind of not feeling going out to dinner that late at night.
Oh, I don't want to go out to dinner.
Be sure we're going to go all the way to the Valley.
I'm sorry, Tina.
And she was like blown away. And look, I don't know if it's evident just by looking at me, but we enjoy a good meal.
Oh man!
So we've dined well often. You
can put some food away.
I can. Yeah, fair. But the point is that we eat at a lot of local establishments, and we eat well. And she was absolutely blown away by this place. She was like, "Why don't we come here more often?" And
I said,
it's kind of far for us to drive, but
like I said, the Towpath Distillery is located inside the Merchant Tavern. Anthony Piscazzi is the owner of both establishments. So if you get a chance and you're in the Akron area, go down to the Valley and check them out. Bonus ad.
Bonus ad. I mean, wasn't even trying to do the ad. We did go there, and it was tremendous. So if you're in the area, check it out.
Yeah, I mean, Merchant Tavern's not even paying us, but there you go. Anyways, let's close this thing out. Kenny, what can we expect next week?
What can we expect next week?
It should be different than every other week.
Is that what you're asking me?
Yes.
That's what you want to know?
Yes.
You want to know where you can find the goods?
Yes.
Where you can find the most explicit takes on sports in Cleveland?
They could just be normal takes.
Dirty sacks and gay sex.
Wow. Taken out of context, those sound insane.
Of course, we were talking about Rudy Gay and Colin Sexton and Myles Garret having the dirtiest
sack of the quarterback.
Sounds bad.
I mean, he sacked the quarterback.
Here's what I'll tell you about next week. It's the bye. It's the bye week. So,
are we supposed to be excited?
We should be excited because we're not going to lose this week. We have no opponent.
No opponent.
No one to beat us. So we will plan a couple of different things. We will have a State of the Browns discussion and a few different segments just to kind of keep track of everything going on in the NFL and Cleveland sports world. We will put together a Week 10 preview, and we will debut the Burning River Sportscast Hot Take Hotline, 330-227-8080.
What was that again?
330-227-8080.
330-227-8080. 330-227-8080.
80-80.
So check Tap In Media out on social media. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter at The Tap In Media. And you can find us on Instagram at Tap In Media Official. And you can also check out Burning River Sportscast. That's us right here. On Facebook and Instagram at Burning River Sportscast. On Twitter at Burning River Pod. And on YouTube, just search Burning River Sportscast. And there we are.
There we are.
That's wild.
The internet is a wild place.
It really, truly is. So, you may be wondering where you can find the podcast. Well, you can find the podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
Wherever you get your podcasts.
That would be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, Castro, and more. Is that good?
Did you ever think about a bird?
Birds aren't real.
Wow, we're taking it all in tonight.
Yeah, birds aren't real, man.
We're going there. We're going everywhere.
Everybody knows that.
Oh, man.
You ever seen a baby pigeon? Case rested. Flat Earth, birds aren't real. Everybody knows.
Man, tonight got off the rail. I think it's just because I've been off schedule all day because I thought it was a Monday.
It's Tuesday.
And it's a Tuesday.
We usually play on Sunday, so it does feel like Monday.
Feels like Monday.
Instead, we played on Monday.
Feels like a Victory Monday, but it's a Victory Tuesday.
Victory Tuesday.
But I was just thinking about birds and just their ability to fly. And
of course they can fly.
People have dreams about flying. It's like one of the more common dreams.
Sure.
You may be jealous of a bird's ability to fly, but it may soothe your envy to learn that they can't live in space because they need gravity to swallow.
Man, it feels bad. We can't live in space because there's no air. So we lose too.
Look, I'm just saying that's a problem.
This is a moot point.
Don't just be a part of the problem, be the whole problem.
And only you can prevent river fires. Burning River Sports.
Burning River.
Peace, I'm out of here.
Burning River Sports.
Really motorboating over there.